Okay, welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. We have a good one for you guys, but first, hi Michelle, how's it going?
Hi, Nick. It's going great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm really excited for this episode. We have such a good question from our listener that I know is going to resonate with everyone listening. All right, let's dive in. Let's pull up this question from one of our listeners and we will address it. But first, let me just remind all of you these AYQ episodes where we answer your questions. You could have one of these too. You could be so lucky if you just submit your comment for us at creationtocashflow.com. Tell us what you're going through. Tell us what your struggle is. Tell us what you want us to talk about or do an episode on. And we also love if you share your first name and where you're from. It just makes it a little more fun. But yeah, you guys could have this too. You know, we're due for a fresh round of these actually. So great time. If you are listening to this episode right now, great time to submit some of these. Now let's dive in.
Hey guys, it's Marissa again. I clearly love doing these because it's so nice that you guys take a whole episode or a question to answer. It's so helpful. So I feel like this came from not only how my brain thinks, but the recent episodes you guys have had with Jose, because I just feel like maybe you guys are the perfect people to ask this question to. So personally, I struggle with, I'm very dedicated to yoga and I've really introduced meditation recently. And I feel like when I do those things, it does me dirty when it comes to work and my career, because when I finish, I'm like, this is so nice. Like, just existing is so valuable. Why am I living to work and working so hard? So I get really disassociated and I don't know how to find motivation in those practices instead of like simplicity in the practices. I hope this makes sense. But let me know if you guys understand that.
Okay. This is such a good and exciting topic. Yoga and meditation and self development habits are killing Marissa's productivity because when she does those things, she's reminded of the fact that just being alive is valuable and we were not born just to work. Where do we start with this one, Michelle?
I think we start by saying I have been here before, and the way she worded it was so right. Like, it was so perfect because I've never been able to like articulate that, but I have totally been in her shoes many times. And so I just want to say, like, this question is so good.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I've definitely felt this before too. Like you take a yoga class or you sat in the sun and meditated or you just did something fun that just made you feel like a human. But you have a ton, your to-do list now is just like the guilt is creeping up. Oh my God, it's so relatable. I think everyone experiences this at some point or another, probably every week where you're just like, I finally am doing something fun and I feel good. And then there's like the guilt or the lack of productivity that comes with the fact that I just had a lot of fun and now I don't want to sit there and do like boring work.
Or you just can't mentally get there. Like for me, and we'll talk about how I've gotten through this and how I know when I'm in this state Marissa's saying and how I get through it. But for me, it's almost like I don't feel guilty, but I'm almost just like so drained from the meditation and from the relaxation that it's like, why? Like, I cannot pull myself together to like now go do something that's work related. Well, depends on what the work is, but we'll get into that.
What do you do when you're feeling this way? Like if you just did something like that and now you're drained, is that a call for you, Michelle, to like listen to your body and maybe you ended up getting some rest that you need, but you still need more? Or like how do you typically handle that?
There's no exact way, right? It just depends on the day, but more so than like the most often, if I do like breath work in the morning or a workout or yoga or meditation, and then I feel the way Marissa's feeling, I know I cannot immediately go start doing work that I don't enjoy because there's all obviously always going to be things that we're doing as entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives that there are things we like doing more than other things. So I know I cannot just go immediately start answering emails. I cannot immediately just hop on a call and start talking to people. For me, I've learned I even did this yesterday. I've learned that personally, when I feel this way, I'm like, what recharges me the most? And I just whip out my tripod and my phone and I start filming a piece of content. And then I can get back into that. Okay, this is what I love. This is my motivation. This is fueling my creativity and getting me back in the zone without feeling like I could just be, because that is the thing that just charges me, is I just want to film content. I don't need to be in it. I just want to film it. And that's my like recharge. Then I feel motivated and remind myself like, oh, okay, this is why I'm doing this. I'm making a difference. I'm making an impact. I'm showing up. What about you?
Well, first, I want to address that I think you hit on something really important, which is what is the work that has to be done? Because I bet a lot of people that are listening to this that are like, oh, I feel that all the time. It's because the work that is piling up is not something you love doing. And you hit on something really important that hopefully our listeners know, but if you're new or maybe don't, like Michelle's like happy place is making videos and making content and setting up the tripods and things like that. I mean, one thing we know about Marissa from some of the other times she's asked questions is that she's pretty much a solopreneur. She has a lot on her plate. So she isn't just able to do the things she loves. There's probably so much admin work and management of things that is not fulfilling to her. And that's part of why every time she meditates or does yoga, she's getting in alignment with like who she is and what she loves to do. And then after has to go back to something she doesn't love. So I think that you hit on something really important, is that maybe it's a sign that she's out of alignment with the kind of work that makes her feel good and alive.
Well, I can speak on this because if anyone heard recently how I've hired two more people onto the team, this is so true. And I didn't even think about that. Like, also, when I'm stilling my mind and my body, I'm reminded of all the things I need to get done. And the amount, my assistant, my newer assistant, my EA, she had to go through over 3,000 emails because I just kept letting them pile up and I was ignoring them. But the thing is, I still have that in the back of my head that I'm behind. I'm lacking. There's something I need to get done. There are decisions to be made. And when I would slow down, I would be reminded and it would hurt because I'm like, oh, I hate not showing up or doing what I say I'm going to do. And I know I need to do these things. And so hiring help has been such a game changer for me. I sent Nick a video this morning of my home office. I've been in this penthouse for several months and I just ignore this room. But yesterday I was like, I need to make this a place that I can be productive. And I finally felt like I could do that because I had someone else handling my scripting, my posting, and all that. But it took time to get there and finding the right people. But I'm telling you, it has been so worth it. When you're doing everything on your own, you're gonna feel overwhelmed because it's it's hard to do everything, especially if you like more of the creative side and not the admin side. So I've been where Marissa's at right now. Like, so for years I've been there before, and it's it's not that it's a bad thing. I think we do need to go through these seasons, but there's definitely a way through it as well.
I would go through this exact same thing when I was really self-development focused but still working at my civil engineering job, because I would try to take such good care of myself in the morning and then get to work and be feeling amazing in my body, and I would be like, it pains me to even do these tasks because they just weren't in alignment with my zone of genius. They weren't in alignment with what I want to be doing with my life, and they just weren't in alignment with how good I'm feeling in my body. Like for me, when I'm feeling that good in my body, like I want to be in the sun and I want to be helping other people. Like my zone of genius is like being on calls with people and helping them realize their potential. So anything that wasn't that didn't feel good. And when I would meditate or do yoga, it would bring those things up that I was probably pushing down, that I was like, I'm just doing things that I feel like I have to do right now. And then I take good care of myself and those things come up. And it's like, you almost go through the cycle of like, oh, good things are coming up. Like I realization that things are out of alignment. And then we end up pushing them down because there's work that has to be done. And it's like, that's actually the sign that the work you're doing is the wrong work. Like you're putting your eggs in the wrong basket.
Oh, Nick, that's so good. I hope that people watch this YouTube video so they could see the visualization Nick was just doing with his hands. But you're right. It just reminded me of our sourdough starter, Rosalinda, who she rises after you feed her, and then she goes back down when she's hungry. And so it's like, it's interesting. But I think that like it's maybe even a facet of what Marissa's doing that is draining her. Because, like I said at the beginning of this episode, I would feel drained after feeling so fulfilled, and I'm like, "Why do I feel tired?" But, like, I'm excited, and I just wanna relax and just be, and I could sit on the beach doing nothing for the next 5 hours, and I'd be happy. But then I'm like, "Oh, I need to get work done." So it's those things, those little bitty things that you have to discover that you know need to be done, that maybe you can hire someone else to do them, and they'll grow in their career, and that's their zone of genius and what they wanna do, and it's like I tortured myself for so long trying to do everything on my own because I was afraid to invest in someone else to help me with things, or I was like, they're not going to do it as good. But that's such a lie because I've hired people that could do things better than me. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what Nick's been telling me to do for the past 2 years. So I think that it's like you need to be still, document the things that you know you need to get done, and then the things that you know maybe you can delegate to someone else and have some help doing because they're not fulfilling you and making you excited to bring out the tripod and start filming as soon as you're done meditating.
It's perfect the way you just worded that, like making the list. Here's the stuff that I'm doing, here's what's not in alignment. And also like try to identify, and this is not just for Marissa, it's for all of our listeners, what is your zone of genius? You may not know it right now, but start by just pulling the thread that is like, well, what do you love? What do you love doing within the work that has to be done? So like for me, it's helping people realize their potential. So like now having like 15 or so employees, like a lot of admin related things have fallen onto my plate recently, and it pulls me out of being able to help people like live their best, like each employee that we have. So that immediately was a sign that like I'm hiring an executive assistant like immediately, because I know my zone of genius. I don't want to be doing things outside of there. I don't want to be bogged down with like admin work, for lack of a better word. I don't want to be doing that kind of stuff because that doesn't excite me and that's not my zone of genius. If content creation and making videos is Marissa's zone of genius, we need to be doing more of that. Like when I'm like meditating or taking a break, if I do that for too long or like have too many days off, I will be itching to help someone else or have a call with someone where I help them have a breakthrough. And like we need to, all people need to find that thing that like when the distractions of the world are gone and you go deep into your mind and your own brain and your thinking, what do you wish you were doing and what do you wish you were getting paid to do? Because it is not just sitting in the sun. Like no one actually enjoys doing that. You eventually start to feel lazy and like a bum because you don't have a mission and a purpose. Like what is the mission you want to advance? What is a cause that you care about that you want to get involved in? What is what is your purpose? What is your zone of genius? You need to find that.
Yeah, and also give yourself grace. If you're currently doing everything you hate doing right now that's draining you, that's okay. Start with one tiny thing you can do. I started honestly by like mentioning to Evan things I needed help with around the house. And that was hard for me because I work from home. He goes to work. And so it's like just mentioning things and having him like do more things and realizing like, oh my God, I did not realize I could actually like rely on someone else. It sounds so bad saying out loud, but it's true. So I started simple. I started with like, okay, he'll do the dishes every night and I don't have to think about it. And then it like moved on to like other things. And then it moved on to like, housekeeper. I've had that for a while, but I don't know, just little things that I'm like, I was piling so much on my plate because yes, I'm capable of doing it. You're capable of doing the admin work that you've had put on your plate. But do you need to do it? I don't think so. You can have somebody on your team, an executive assistant, an EA, who can learn stuff and do it for you, and that's what they're there for. And again, that's their zone of genius. There are so many people who are created in this world to literally be organized, administrative people. and they thrive and they freaking love it. It brings them joy and fuel, just like creating a piece of content brings me, and having a great conversation brings you. So finding that thing and then slowly chipping away at the things that aren't working for you, it takes time. Give yourself so much grace, but don't put it off. Please, speaking from experience, don't put it off.
It takes a lot of time. Like, it took me a long time to figure out, like, what do I love doing? What are the things that are getting in the way of that? And it took so many like yoga classes and meditations and times writing in my journal before I could even really pinpoint, like, what is it that I wish I was doing? It took a long time and a lot of self-discovery, but like we said, if you keep bottling that stuff up and not taking care of yourself and giving yourself that space to think, it's going to manifest in other areas of your life, and it's going to manifest as problems and deeply rooted issues. So you really do need to create the space where you cut out distractions and you are meditating and you are writing in your journal, and you don't just get on your phone every time you have a free minute in the day or watch TV. Like, you can't just constantly be distracting yourself from doing that inner soul searching and figuring out, like, what do you want your life to look like? What is your dream day? Is it going to the gym, making videos for 2 hours, seeing those videos come to life through a post, and then just spending time with friends and family? Like, if that is your dream day, you can build your life to be that, but you are going to have to hire help. You are going to have to learn new skills. Like, there is a lot that goes into it, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, and also it can change over time. There was a point where photography was my zone of genius. It was everything I wanted to do. Photography was my business. Me and Evan started a photo video business. It was so cute. And then I realized, like, this is now starting to not give me that energy and fuel. And had I not pivoted, I would have never found out about content creation, UGC, all of that stuff. So it's like you need to thrive within that one area to even see the next step. But you can't thrive if you're trying to just think that everything has to be done by you. And again, it's very difficult to release that control if you're a controlling person like I am, and type A and just like go get or do it yourself, whatever. But you're not helping anyone. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping your business. You're not helping the people that you want to serve, and you're not helping people you could hire who want to grow in their own career. So it's like almost just selfish. And also, if it was easy to do these things, like everyone would do it. But that's the thing, is if you're listening to this, you're already standing apart from so many people because you're choosing to consume this instead of scrolling on social media. And so you're already ahead of the curve. Why not just go for it? Go even deeper within yourself and do the hard work that it takes to find what you were gifted with, what you were born to do, and just invest in yourself. You deserve it. Owe yourself that time and effort and energy, because that's what's going to make you a better person, the people around you better, and this world a better place as well.
So motivating. I'm loving this episode. We knew this was going to be a good one. I want to also jump back to, like, for our listeners, I know this all sounds so scary because it's like, oh my God, it takes years and this and that. But like, the years are going to pass anyway. So all you really need to do, like, for me to start my journey of going from, like, okay, I have a job, I fucking hate this job. I know kind of what I think I want to do. Like, I know I want to help people, and I know I want to make a lot of money, and I know I want to somehow, like, social media's got to tie in. I was like, I don't know that much else, but like, I just pulled that thread. I started making self development content. I started listening to tons of podcasts and just getting better information in my brain, listening to people that are a little bit ahead of me or even a lot ahead of me talk about how they got started and what it was like. And I started meditating a ton and doing hard things like cold plunging. And it all just gets you on the path. So even though the path takes years, every little step on the path, you start to feel better and you start to feel more like who you are supposed to feel like. So I don't want anyone to be scared of the fact that these journeys take time, because you were not just born to work. Like, it is your duty as a human to pull these threads and find out, like, what is your true mission and your true purpose, because if you don't, your life is going to end one day, and you're going to look back and be like, I truly didn't get to do any of the things I wanted. Like, I ended up having to work a job I didn't like, making someone else wealthy just so I could get by. And like, maybe you did some cool stuff, but like, you owe it to yourself to build the life that you really want. And it's so much more self-development work than anything. I find it crazy how it's a self-development journey more than like a business journey to build your dream life.
It really is. I mean, the tactics and business things, like there's strategies you can use, but none of that will matter if you're not working on yourself and you're doing the inner work. Because again, I say this all the time on our podcast, and it's so simple, but it's like we were all born so unique and individual, and we have the gift of communication and talking with other people. And like we're supposed to be in our, all of us are supposed to be in our own zone of genius. And then that's how we work together as a world to make this world a better place. And I know that's like so broad, but it's so like I love it because I'm like, yes, I have ADHD. I struggle with certain things. Maybe I'm not the ideal person for X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, I'm like, but I was born that way. So let me embrace it. Let me embrace that hyper focus, hyper fixation I can get. Let me embrace the random sporadic trails that my brain takes me on. Thankfully, Nick has created a safe place for me to be able to go on these little like rabbit trails, and I can be myself, and I thrive way more being who I am than all the years I spent trying to fit into a box, trying to be the entrepreneur or even just the employee that people wanted me to be. Because I just, nobody knows me better than me, right? And nobody knows you better than you. And you have to know when to say no and when to draw a line and when to just make a change.
I'm so fired up right now listening to this. Oh my goodness. It is such a good reminder of everything. And like you said, once you stop pretending to be someone you're not and you just fully be you, do the things you love, spend time around the people that get you excited, and stop spending time around the people that don't. Like, stop spending time around the people that are truly just concerned with like complaining and getting drunk all the time. And we all know there are people that lift you up, and there are people that like they might be fun to hang around with, but like you don't feel good afterwards, and you look back and you're like, oh god, I just spent a ton of money on like stuff I didn't need and going out and doing things I didn't even want to do. It starts with like those boundaries that keep you rooted in you. I always tell people this. I'm like, boundaries are not to keep other people out of their life, out of your life. Boundaries are designed to keep you rooted in your life and in the things that matter to you. And it makes such a big difference. But you'll never know, like, where is the line? Where do I draw the line if you are not meditating, finding quiet places to write in your journal? Like, if you're constantly distracted with TV and being on your phone, you will never even know how unhappy you are, because time will just pass and then it's too late.
Yeah, and also going back to what Marissa was saying, there is there's a lot of studies about like meditation, yoga, breath work, stuff like that. It if you're only doing it like every now and then, it's going to be really hard on your body because you're having a like physiological response to slowing down and doing these specific practices that you have to also build up a tolerance to them. It's not like if you're releasing certain things that you've been holding, like tension you've been holding up, even massages. Oh my gosh. After a massage, I am worthless a lot of the times because I don't get them regularly enough that I'm like, all the toxins are being released, right? And it's almost like I needed to detox, but I have to do that way more often in order to fully get the benefits because it's not going to keep it in there, but then it's just like I don't know how to explain it, but my body responds in such a way that it's just like stress because I think that it's releasing all of that, but then I go back to the same life I've created where I'm like stressed about like back before I had help, all these emails, all these things, and it's just not helpful. And it's crazy how your body responds to your mind. Like even your body is being affected by the way your mind is. even whenever you're doing something so relaxing. And so you almost have to like I said, build up a tolerance to it.
We need that as a quote from the show. After a massage, I am worthless.
It's kind of true. I'm a potato.
I feel the same way though. After I get a massage, I'm like, all right, this was not an energizing experience. Like, turns out that was much needed. And actually now I need to chill, I need to rest, and I need to continue like integrating the things and that headspace that I was getting into. And like I think that's what Marissa needs on top of this. Like, sure, there are so many things you could do right now, Marissa. You can make that list that Michelle mentioned. You could go hire help. But the first thing I think you need to do is go meditate and then do some yoga. And then without guilting yourself, like take the rest of the day to just think about like what would the dream day look like? Am I making videos? Am I like whatever it is. I don't even want to give examples because it's your mission to find out. Other great thing that everyone should do. Um, I keep mine over here. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Move your phone charger away from your bed. I've been thinking about making this my social media tagline and like every single video saying it because I truly cannot think of an easier way to just take control back of your own life. I had one of my private coaching clients do this the other day. She failed the first time. I was like, right. I was on a call with her and I was like, where's your phone charger? It's next to your bed, isn't it? She was like, yep. I was like, go right now and move it. She was like, I will after this. I said, fucking right now, go move it, not later. She moved it. Somehow they always end up crawling their way back to the bedside, and it did. So then the next week when I talked to her, I was like, where's your phone charger right now? First thing I asked, and she said, it is back by my bed. I said, move it. And then she actually kept it there. And she woke up the next day and sent me a message at like 10 a.m. her time. She was like, this was the first day that I did not reach for my phone first. She was like, I had such a moment. Like, I was watching the sun peek through my blinds. I got up, I moved my body, I was healthy. She was like, I can't believe how big of a difference it makes. It is the fastest way to take control back of your own life because your phone is designed to be addicting and steal your life and your time because it makes other people and other companies money. So take control back. Move your phone charger away from your bed.
Such a good tip. Honestly, it's so simple too. People are like, what are the best tips you have for getting your mind right again? And it's those simple things. It's like, move your phone charger. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at any screen for at least 30 minutes after you wake up. At least 10 minutes. I mean, you've got to detox. You've got to not fill your brain immediately. And again, on the days that I look at my phone, it's I'm worthless. I hate saying that. I'm not going to say that anymore. I'm not worthless ever. None of us are worthless. But I'm like just not right in the head because I let something else enter my head besides my own thoughts. And it's not good. Also, this is such a side note. I was going to mention also make your bed, but I saw this study the other day. I think, did I send it to you? I don't know. Where it said, don't make your bed when you first wake up. And I was like, what a great hook. What are they about to show me? And this doctor was like, dust mites feed on humidity, and when you sleep things get humid and you sweat or whatever. And so he said you need to wait at least 2 hours to make your bed, otherwise you're just giving the dust mites something to feed on and then you're going to get a ton of them. And I was like, oh, so like scientifically you should not make your bed, but like mentally you should. So I wanted to ask you, what is another thing people could do to check off a box and get something done besides make the bed? Because obviously I don't want dust mites eating up on that stuff. That's weird.
That's an interesting one. I mean, personally, I will give you one, but personally, I say fuck the dust mites. It creates so much momentum to make your bed as soon as you stand up that, like, whatever. You might have to just wash your sheets more often. But something else that people can do, assuming that you just woke up, I'm picturing like you just stood up, cold water on the face. Not everyone has a cold plunge. Not everyone's strong enough to take a cold shower. I mean, to me, that was the biggest life changing thing I started doing. But even just freezing cold water on your face wakes you up so much. And it still creates that bodily response that a cold plunge does. It's just so much smaller and so much less powerful. But that's what I would tell people. Like, if you could just wake up, make your bed, fuck the dust mites. We're not letting them win. Um, that's definitely. I bet a dust mite is the one who came up with that idea and was like, actually, it's better if they don't make it, and they're trying to. They're doing reverse psychology on us.
What a weird concept. I'm just thinking of a dust mite making a TikTok video
Yeah,
dressed as a man in a Dr. Scrub suit. Um, okay, wait. So I love that. So first, do your journal, get out of bed, change, splash your face with cold water.
yeah. Even if you only did those things and there was nothing else part of the routine, you are going to be superhuman if you do that consistently every day for even 30 days. Because I know we didn't just list a million things, but it is hard because in the morning you're sleepy and you don't feel like doing things like that. If you did all of that for 30 days, you would literally be superhuman by the end of it because you are so consistent and driven, and you believe it when you say you're going to do something because you have confidence now because you do the things you said you were going to. You become superhuman. Like, for example, when I was living with Michelle for 2 weeks, her and Evan were trying to print things out, and they were like, "Why is the printer not working?" And I was like, "Oh, I unplugged it. My phone chargers has to be over there because I can't use the outlet by the bed." Um, so like, it's just so funny. But like, my screen time was so low that entire trip because my phone is not the last thing I see before I go to bed. It's not the first thing I see when I wake up. And that alone would also make you superhuman. Just moving your phone charger away from your bed and keeping it there. And when you have one of those moments where you're like, oh, but I have to do something on my phone, I better move it. Go sit on the floor by where the charger is, finish the thing you need to do, and leave it over there. Because your brain is going to try and come up with all the reasons why you should move the charger back, because the deep subconscious part of your brain just wants the dopamine hit that is being on your phone. So it will come up with all the reasons that are pretty convincing too as to why you need to move that charger back by your bed because, oh, I got to send this last text. Oh, I got to FaceTime this person, but I want to sit in my bed when I do it. So I'll move the charger back. It's like, nope, don't listen to those excuses. Become superhuman. Move your phone charger away from your bed. I would be down to change the name of this podcast to the Move Your Phone Charger Away from Your Bed podcast. I truly can't emphasize enough how helpful it is.
Wow. It's like you love it almost as much as you love Loom videos.
It's true. I really like sending Loom videos.
Well, I think that's helpful. I think that people need to also just find what works for them as well, but those things that we said are universal. They're specific, they're easy, they're universal. I on days I need to set an alarm, which is usually twice a week, I need to set an alarm. I have to have my phone by my bed cuz I have to take my medicine and I always fall back asleep whenever I take it. But the alarm, I would not do well, like, walking across to, like, turn it off. But other than that, I actually need to go move my own phone charger. Like, I don't need to set an alarm until Sunday. So, I'm gonna move my phone charger immediately after this podcast episode, even though I don't usually grab my phone, but there are times I do. And I do not want it to become a habit. And I know how impactful it is. It's the simplest thing. Like, how is it so impactful? It's so crazy, but it really is this dopamine detox you need to do, even throughout the day. Like Nick said, like, if you have a moment of silence, a moment to yourself, grabbing your phone feels good in the moment, but it's not good for your future self. So do something your future self will thank you for. Put the phone down, listen to your thoughts, and yeah, I think it's just going to make a huge difference. 30 days. We should do a challenge, just even if it's me and you. Like 30 days of the no phone, do the journal, make the bed, change cold water. Boom, done.
I'm so in for that. Let me write down those steps because we will forget them.
Not really. I do that most mornings.
No phone, make bed, feed dust mites, cold water.
Change your clothes. I think that's one thing too. A lot of people tell me they stay in their clothes for a while after they wake up, and I'm like, I immediately need to go put on like something else. Even though I put on like athleisure or joggers, like comfy clothes, I at least get out of the sleep clothing. So I'm immediately transitioning my mindset to like, okay, now I'm going to be in a different mood or mindset. So maybe even just put on pants or something if you're a guy who sleeps in boxers or whatever. Or if you're, yeah, whatever you sleep in.
All right. I'm about to read the message that I got from the girl that I made move her phone charger, because that's what this episode has become. Officially my first morning without my phone by me. Already feel like I have more ownership of my day and my feelings. I just looked at the sun shining through my curtains for 10ish minutes, walked over to my phone, which honestly really grounded me, and I realized I don't even need it for anything. Saw that all my business things are operating as usual, and now I'm here, and I'm going to go implement more self-care practices because I'm feeling so good. That is the result of all she did was move her phone charger, because you're cutting off the trigger that is starting your day on your phone. And every day that I start on my phone, those days fucking suck compared to the ones I don't. Like, it could still be a great day, but it takes a long time to get into the swing of things. And that ends up being one of those days where I'm like itching for dopamine hits where I can. And I'm going back on my phone in the afternoon and things like that, because you're setting your brain up to be like, yes, dopamine, like, let's get a lot of that going. So if you just cut that off, oh my goodness, life gets so good. And then you'll start being like, I think I'm going to put my yoga mat down and meditate this morning. I haven't meditated in the morning in a while. And you start just doing things to give your brain a more natural hit of dopamine. Or you're like, I'm going to take a cold shower. I've been seeing that a lot on Instagram. I'm going to go do that cold shower. Like, you end up just doing other things to get your dopamine hit, but things that actually are good dopamine sources, unlike your phone. My morning routine has been super solid lately. I'm just like, wake up, drive right to Jersey Strong, and that's the routine, and it's been feeling really good. Because the phone charger's across the room, so I'm like, there's nothing stealing my energy. Back to Marissa. I hope this episode was helpful. I think that it's probably exactly what she needed to hear. Should we summarize everything? You do it. You give amazing summaries.
Oh, pressure. I never try.
They always come out great. I pretty much throw you the alley oop at the end of every episode. I'm like, Michelle, summary.
Well, you're usually, do you have anything else to say? And I always say no, and then I go into a summary. It's crazy. But I don't think about it. So maybe I'll just start talking and it'll come to me. At the end of the day, if you're feeling exhausted after doing these things, or not even exhausted, maybe you're rejuvenated, but you're not wanting to go back to work. Maybe you're just so happy and like on this euphoric high where you're like, I don't need to do anything. I just want to do this. Then try to figure out something. If you want to listen to your body and you don't really have things to do, then just listen to your body. Do nothing. That's totally fine. I do that I wouldn't say often. I do that sometimes where I'm like, you know what? I could take a day, I could take a few hours off and just be. And that's so fulfilling. And that is still actively resting. You're still productive in that moment because you're rejuvenating. But if you do have stuff to get done, then start with the thing that's going to fuel yourself, fuel your battery, recharge your battery. So make a list of things you have to get done. Start with the one you want to do the most just to get you into the zone. Maybe you can even sandwich it. So for me, it would be like grab my tripod, start filming like an aesthetic video. And then it's like, okay, take a break from that. Now I need to go like answer some things or sign some contracts. And then I'm going to go back and now edit that video or whatever it is. Those things will help you get back into the zone. But you do also need to make sure that you're starting to take things off your plate that are causing you to not even want to go back to them. Because the motivation of loving what you do and why you do it, having a strong why behind whatever you're doing, like for me, I'm like, it's not, I just need to make the money or I need to do this thing. It's like so much bigger than that. I have very deep reasons and dreams and goals. And so going back to that is always going to motivate me to do whatever I need to do. So maybe you also need to write down really what is your why, and then that way you can remind yourself whenever you don't feel like showing up.
I don't think I would have summarized it any better myself. You definitely nailed it. Quick like reminders for all of you guys. These AYQ episodes, it could be yours. Go to creation2cashflow.com. Go leave us that voice memo. We get them, we listen to them, we turn them into an episode for you. If you want to watch this episode on YouTube or just see the short form clips, make sure you follow us at Creation to Cash Flow. By the way, we don't ask you that because like, oh, we need the amount of followers. Truly don't care how many followers we have on those accounts, but it's a nice reminder for you to go listen to an episode. When you go see one of the short form clips, that ends up being a nice reminder for you to probably get off of social media and go listen to an episode and go put something good in your brain. Even if it's a different podcast, I don't care. Just it's a nice reminder for you to go and do something better than whatever you're scrolling on. So do yourself that favor. We don't need it. It's more for you. And make sure to check out Michelle on all of her social medias at Michelle JH. That's Michelle with 2 L's, 4 E's, JH. And you can check me out on all my social medias at Get Ahead with Nick. Go move your phone charger away from your bed. We love you guys. Bye.